2004 Acura MDX front brake pad replaced, or machine rotors and replaced pads. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive. I'm going to walk you through that process. First step obviously is to get your car in the air. If you're doing this at home, put it on jack stands, jack it up, put it on jack stands. And we're going to start by removing the 14 millimeter bolt on the bottom here from the caliper, and the top one too. So to get started, we're going to remove the caliper bolts here and here, the 14 millimeters, and then we're going to flip that out of the way. And then on the back side, there's two 19 millimeter bolts to hold the caliper cage off on. We're going to take that off too and set that aside. Next, we'll have to get the rotor, the little mounting screws off with an impact screwdriver. It's pretty much impossible to get them off without them. I mean, there's like a very slim chance you'll get off without them. So with this tool, you'll hit it with the end of with a hammer, and it has a mechanism inside that helps turn the screw out. So go ahead and take those screws out, and then after that, well, this case it came off. But if it doesn't, you can take a 8 millimeter by 125 bolt and put it in the thread it into this hole and turn it in, and it'll pull the rotor off if it's stuck. So now we need to machine our new rotor and get it perfectly flat again. And first you want to measure it out and make sure it has enough meat on it from data. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. If it does not, then you want to buy a new rotor, and you would just go ahead and just put the new rotors back on right now, so where you took the old ones off. And if you don't have access to a brake machine, you can take it down to a local automotive mechanic shop and ask them to machine them for you. They'll probably ask you what year, make, model the car came off of, the rotor came off of, and they'll mic it out for you and they'll machine it for you. They'll probably charge a small little fee, but it's worth doing it for a smooth brake pedal and reducing the risk of squeaks and stuff like that when the brake job is done. So now what we need to do is take our old brake pads out like that, and we need to, on the channels here, let's see, on the channels here, there these little, these were the pads, right? Take a little wire brush like I got here, and you want to scrub them out and then inspect them. If they're in bad shape, then you want to replace these. So after cleaning these up, they're in good shape. We're just going to apply a little thin Seal Glide brake caliper grease on it. Special grease designed for brakes. A lot of brake pads themselves come with a pack of it in the brake box itself. If not, you can get this at your local parts store. So we're going to put a very thin layer in these channels, and you don't want it thick because it'll build up dirt and dust and actually cause it to stick. And we're also going to take these pins and we're going to pull them out. So these pins will come out. See if I can get one out for you. So we pull them out like that, and we'll re-lube them and put them back in and work them back and forth and get the grease in there and good, and we'll do both of them. Okay, now that we got our caliper bracket all cleaned up and lubed up and ready to go, we're going to put it back on. Our rotor is machined, so we're going to put a little blue Loctite on the bolts to hold the caliper cage on, or bracket, whatever you want to call it. We're going to put a little bit of thread sealer on there because they don't have a washer, and that helps prevent the bolts from backing back out of this. So we're going to go ahead and put it back on and bolt it back down. So now, if you look at the old pad, they have a shim on it. Some of the new pads, this one came with a shim. Some of the new ones don't come with shims, and you'll have to transfer those shims over. So now what we're going to do is find out our inner and outer pad. So this is the on the passenger side here. So I got the little the squealer here to let you know when you need brakes. So we'll line those up, and you can see this one goes on the inside pad. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on the inside and put the outer pad on. It doesn't have the little squealer on it. I'm going to go ahead and put those on. Now that we got our pads back into the bracket here, we're going to take a little bit of that grease and put it on the front and back on the backs of the pads on both sides, front inner and outer pad. So after we got a thin layer on there, that's all we need. That helps prevent friction and prevent squeaking. So now what we need to do is we need to push our pistons back into the caliper. And to do that, I like to remove a little bit of brake fluid from the master cylinder, because we're going to push these pistons in without opening the bleeder screw, which pushes the brake fluid back through the lines and back up into the master cylinder. And after doing that, we will not have to bleed the brakes. All you have to do is pump the brake pedal after you're done. So we'll do that. Push the pistons, and I'm going to use it's an actual tool designed to push the pistons in. But if you don't have this, a large C-clamp will work. So you put the C-clamp over and tighten it up, and it'll draw the pad in. Or a large pair of channel locks will work too. Next, we're going to put these help spread the pads out and prevent them from dragging. So we'll put these clips on, and then after that we'll put our caliper on, but when we put it on, we want to make sure that our brake line is not twisted. So when you go to put this caliper on, you're going to have to hold with one hand hold the pads together, because those little springs will spread it out. You want to pop them out. So you have to hold it with one hand and slide it on with the other. And then you'll start your bolts. And I wanted to remind you to put the thread sealer on it. So that helps prevent these bolts from backing out. Now that the caliper's all bolted back up, the last step is to put the wheel on and torque it down, and then lower the vehicle down, and then pump the brake pedal. You want to pump the brake pedal, 6-7 times, and that should give you that should get all the fluid back into the calipers and put the pressure on the pads. And if you open this bleeder screw up for any reason to get the pistons back in, say if you were having trouble or whatever, you'll have to bleed the brakes. If you have a nice firm pedal after pumping the pedal, you will not have to bleed the brakes. And the last step would be to check the master cylinder, check the fluid level in the master cylinder, and top it off if you need to. And then you would test drive the vehicle, and that completes the front brake jobs on a 2004 Acura MDX. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive, and I'd like to thank you for watching my videos and remind you to subscribe.